Dystopia warning, obviously. Now, a lot of people often ask me what are the things that enrage me the most about British politics currently, and I have to say it's mostly the way that people engage with politics or fail to. I can't tell you the amount of times I've had someone say to me, "Oh, I'm not political, politics isn't for me." Really? You see, that's the attitude that born to rule conservative upper class holes want you to have. You see, these privately educated con men bank, literally and figuratively, on you holding that opinion. I don't blame people for having a peripheral view of politics. I did before all hell broke loose. Plus, we're not taught about it in schools, are we? For the reasons that I've just mentioned. But most people get their political news from, news broadcasts, which are just snippets of information, but largely also tabloids, newspapers, etc. But those newspapers have immense political bias, particularly the Daily Mail, the Sun, the Telegraph, etc. Very pro-conservative bias, and those headlines aren't factual. They're designed to pull you in. What you need to realise is the people in power often went to school with the people that are writing for or own those newspapers. The people that own those newspapers are non-dom, non-taxpayers who don't even reside in Britain yet control our narrative. And they love the Tories because the Tories let them get away with paying no tax. Now, I reject the principle that politics isn't for you if you eat, drink, breathe, drive, work, use the NHS, use water, need a dentist, pay taxes. It's involved in everything. Now, what you want to think about is whether or not you want to actively participate in something that affects your entire life, that has an impact on the energy bills you pay, has an impact on whether or not your sick kid can see a doctor, whether or not your mum's laying on the floor for 8 hours waiting for an ambulance, that kind of stuff. What you need to think about is whether or not you want to be a part of that, or do you just want to leave it to a bunch of privately educated people that fall out of private schools on like a kind of like revolving door and have absolutely no lived experience of your hardships, the things that you're going through, the difficulties you're facing. Trust me, I grew up minutes from a private school in abject poverty. You do not want those people making decisions for you. As a kid, they would commit crimes and the poor kids would get blamed for it. And if you look at British politics in terms of, the bankers absolutely tanking our economy and then the government making us pay for it, you'll see where they learn it. Whereas Labour, they're going to abolish the non-dom tax status, charge VAT to private schools. Now, another thing I hear all the time is they're all the same. Well, they're not, mate. Let's take Angela Rayner as an example, shall we? The shadow deputy prime minister for Labour. She left school at 16 with no qualifications whilst pregnant, studied social care, worked locally as a carer, grew up looking after her mum who had bipolar. She became a trade union rep for Unison, joined Labour, worked her way up, and now she's a shadow deputy prime minister. Now, most of the Conservative Party's full of privately educated people beside the 2019 intake when a pig with a blue rosette on it would have won because the entire country was conned by the Conservatives and UKIP regarding Brexit. Now, in many cases, pigs with blue rosettes did win. Anderson, Gullis, Jenkinson, they're evidence of that. The point I'm trying to make is that most Labour MPs have lived through and witnessed the kind of hardship that you and I have suffered. Many of them have really sad tales of poverty and struggle in their lives, so they know what we're up against. And the Conservatives want you to believe this false narrative that they're all the same because it keeps them in power, doesn't it? If you're apathetic, hopeless, disengaged, you won't bother to vote, will you? And if you're not engaged, poor, struggling because of their political decisions, then you're more susceptible to the lies that are spouted by the Sun, the Mail, other client media that they essentially employ to spout their lies and their misinformation. People also say Labour don't have any policies or they can't be trusted with the economy. Well, if it wasn't for Gordon Brown intervening during the global financial crash, we would have suffered appallingly. Do you know who didn't suffer appallingly from that? Rishi Sunak, who made his fortune from that crash. Sunak profited. We were all left to pick up the pieces and pay for it. Classic Tory policy. Not for us, is it? Not to mention the fact that nothing now is better than it was when Labour were last in power in 2010. Literally nothing. The NHS is on its knees. Prison systems are falling apart. School roofs are caving in. Everything's full of rack. Shoplifting's at an all-time high because people are so desperate they're having to shoplift to feed themselves. Food banks are running out of food. Dentist waiting lists are so bad that people are resorting to old school terrifying methods to remove their own teeth. The Tories tanked the economy, and did they get rid of the person that did it? Yeah, they ousted her, but now our Prime Minister Sunak is being led by her insane decision making. Labour's policies are there for the world to see, but they're not on the headlines, are they? For the reasons that I've told you, because they make a difference to our lives. Tackling inequality, improving the NHS, improving social care that's absolutely buckled and battered and dead in a ditch thanks to this government. Can you see the Sun or the Mail wanting to talk about a COVID-19 corruption unit that will claw back the billions that the Conservatives wasted to fraud and essentially stole from us as we were dying from COVID? They're going to build houses, they're going to deal with climate change, they're going to invest in clean energy, they're going to do all the things that will bring down our bills and make our lives better. What are the tabloids reporting? Immigrants are the problem. Yeah, of course they are. Division, hatred, fear, lies, conspiracy. That's how the Tories are going to try and win the next election. And it's going to dominate everything from the headlines to the news reports to bots to fake ads full of misinformation and lies to them putting misleading things through your letterbox. If I had any advice that I could give people, it would be the following. Firstly, register to vote and get your voter ID because a snap election could be coming soon. Once that's dealt with, stop reading half a headline then forming an opinion. Headlines are designed to sensationalise and provoke reactions. Please get involved in politics. Read independent investigative journalism like Byline Times, New European, Open Democracy. Don't fall for racist lies and culture wars designed to spread fear and panic. It's not fact. It's the desperate last gasp of a government that's trying to win no matter what. No matter what low they have to stoop to, no matter which community they throw under the bus. And finally, please stop dealing in absolutes. It is possible to have two conflicting thoughts in your head at one time. Politics isn't a football match. Politicians are not people you should support no matter what they do. But the only people responsible are those that are in power, not the opposition who have no record in power. People say all the time that if you're vehemently, fiercely focused on getting the opposition in, and getting this BNP, National Front style government out, that you're a bad ally. Well, I'm a woman living under this Conservative government that just wants to be able to sleep at night, you know? That wants the grown-ups back in charge. We desperately need change. And anyone that can't see the difference between the opposition and the current government are not doing so based on reality. They're doing it based on a political decision or ideology. We don't know what Labour's going to do. But look at their previous record and look at what's happening now. And if you're on the fence, mind-blowing if you are, but if you are, name 10 things that this government's done that's improved this country. I'll wait.